1985, of course, the town was inundated with 35 feet of floodwaters. These mummies were up under a citizen's bed when the water covered them up. After the flood dropped, they were brought out. They were covered with green fungus and all kinds of corruption and everything, and they took them up to Randy Schoonover, who was up here at the town. He secured some kind of a mixture that would get the green mold off of them and also the hairs that were growing on them. You ask the question most people ask to see, who are these? What's their name? They're nameless. The Mummies, have you saw the Mummies? In 5 months, we had the greatest flood in 100 years, and the museum had 9 feet of water in it, and we were out of business in 1986 and 87, but we were back and opened up in 1988, and we've been open ever since then, 7 days a week. He was a farmer, and he was a member of the Hardshell Baptist Church, a very primitive church, and he claimed he got the idea from reading Genesis. The mummies were offered to the Smithsonian Institution in about 1890. They wanted the mummies, but they also wanted the formula. And Mr. Hamrick said, you can have the mummies, but the formula will remain up here in my head. So with that, the Smithsonian said, well then, Mr. Hamrick, you keep the mummies. Initially, he embalmed 2 female, but those aren't these mummies, because my neighbor, who's 90 years old, called me and he said, Jim, I grew up right next to these people. And he said, I knew Mr. Hamrick's oldest son. Mr. Hamrick's oldest son said, my father got a male and a female and a child and brought them here to mummify them. These people are people that were sent to the insane asylum back in the 1888. It's hard for people to understand how you can just go and get bodies without anything but a court order, but as I explained to so many people, there's a bias and a prejudice against having people in your family who, back at that time, who were mentally unfit. So the result was you would call somebody and say, come and get grandma or whoever and take them over here to Weston, and you didn't really want to see them again. And perhaps the superintendent would call you and say, well, your relative died, and you say, well, we don't want them, you
just mummified.
They're more or less like Potter's Field. I mean, they're just people that nobody wanted particularly, and people that wanted to perform a scientific experiment could just simply go up and go over there and secure bodies.